Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Renderless Games with your host, Renderless Games. Now, I'm going to be breaking down this trailer that leaked, and I know what you guys are thinking. The last leak, it looked iffy at best. But as my mind is confirmed, but we do know that this trailer here was 100% legitimate. We just using common sense, you guys, because I know you said some things about the other video, and well, a lot of the criticism was valid and you said some stuff. Ooh. But this one is legit. Anybody with two brain cells would agree. Somebody faking this, pretending it's Elden Ring, would be. I mean, you come out better just making your own game at that point, because this is legitimate. But without further ado, let's rip into it. Oh, by the way, these leaks, it looks like Miyazaki. I could be crazy, but it looks there's a lot of times there's a baby in the background, so it looks like Miyazaki could be leaking these himself with his kid. Like, who knows? It sounds like something he could do. If he wanted to. It's a free marketing strategy, and the guy's not stupid. He knew what it took to make Demon Souls a success. That was a commercial failure, so he knew what it took to. They even made him president because of that, and they knew, and he knows what he's doing with this. So these leaks are definitely on purpose, and they're perpetrated by the company. Anybody with, I'm gonna say, 5 brain cells would know that. So without further ado, let's continue. Oh, by the way, just starting up, this castle is recurring, so it will be showing up again and again and again in the trailer. It's a landmark, and even if this game doesn't have a map, oh boo-hoo, it doesn't have a map, it will have landmarks like this giant tree that you can tell where you are based on where the tree is. You don't even need a landmark. Even Sekiro didn't have a map. It had arrows pointing to your enemies and whatnot, and the enemy stuck out like a sore thumb. But this world is more open, so there are landmarks, and it sounds like something. And FromSoft, by the way, took inspiration from the creators of Shadow of the Colossus, which is where this bridge comes from. And that game also didn't have a map. You use landmarks and common sense to find your way. And if you look at this tree, the top is solid, but the bottom kind of resembles the same texture or the same effect that would be applied to, guess what? Phantoms when you summon them in PvP. In PvP and to summon multiplayer gameplay from Dark Souls. That's exactly what it looks like. And it's transparent because you can see right through it. So my hypothesis is that this tree will be solid up here and maybe the bottom, but in the middle be missing a chunk because it looks kind of like it's fading toward reality and fakeness, like a phantom in the game. The tree is a phantom, just as other players are phantoms for you. The tree is a phantom for the world, in a sense. That makes sense. So let's continue. Oh yeah, that castle again. It's recurring. You notice that it's connected to the bridge. That's the same castle from earlier. You can tell based on these 2 towers here that are sticking out, and it could look like it could be in ruins a little bit, and that, but maybe because you see these flags and it's still here, so somebody is still in this castle. Whatever, this is not gonna be empty. Trust me, this is gonna be loaded with shit like enemies and all kinds of loot and whatnot. Excuse the language. Here, let's continue. And it looks like it could be in the fall, fall style area. Who knows? There's this dead tree, so that might be recurring too. But let's continue. You see, this area looks like there's a this. Pay attention to this landmark because that will be recurring too. So there's quite a few landmarks you need to keep an eye out for, or pause and rewind the video if you need be. But if you look closely, if you ignore the wyvern, I know you want to look at the moving object. It's human nature. But these stones are just as important. Now, these could be broken rocks or eggs. But to me, why, if that's the case, why on God's earth are these rocks resembling one another? They look like people humped over. Like these could deliberately been placed there. Like those saints from Dark Souls, like those people with the shells on their backs. I forgot what they were called. From Dark Souls, they were humped over in front of Lothar Castle. This could be another case of that, but more grotesque. Like, I don't think these are eggs. There's no way these are eggs, because where the baby dragons at? You don't see them. So these are definitely structures that were built by people. Just like these steps here. And just like maybe this area, this ground, you see the ground? It's splashed with water. But either this dragon can fly on water, which its tail kind of gives away. It looks like it has a fin on its tail, somewhat. Or this area is just flooded with water and there's a solid hard surface that makes the dragon slide, because the dragon is sort of, I guess, walking on water. Either it can walk on water, or this is just a flat area with water beneath it. But I don't think it'll be sliding this much. To me, it looks like it's sliding a little bit. I don't know. But it wouldn't do that if the area wasn't somewhat smooth. Now, it could be stopping and, it's whatever. Moving on. Oh, by the way, if you notice, they're using the same media player as I am. They're using a Windows 10 media player because so that's just a little something that I noticed. It's exactly the same as mine. But mine is orange in respect for Elden Ring. And they wanted to make theirs visible, stand out, which makes sense. Okay. Theirs is in full screen too, by the way. Oh, this is gorgeous. So the moment I noticed this, I was like, wow, they have these things poking through their stomachs. But if you look closely, they have no reproductive organs. So I think my hypothesis is that these slaves, they have a chain coming from their necks, for God's sake. These slaves are actually cut from the Elden Ring tree. They're cut from that giant world tree. That's why it's faded. Or they're cut from trees similar to the world tree that's scattered around the game. Mark my words, I promise you that's correct. These golems, these tree things. And they're slaves, by the way, because whatever's in this carriage is the king or queen or some royalty of some kind. Or some kind of scientist. King, queen, or scientist. Moving on. You see how he's walking? We're going to get to that. Okay, why the hell are these creatures, these beings, these people, why are their necks turned sideways? Isn't that something that hollows do? When they're mindless drones and they're just walking? That looks like something a hollow would do. So whoever's in control of this is some kind of powerful wizard or has some access to some kind of magical necromancy, or whoever's in this. This could be a funeral and that could be a casket, but who knows? There's some kind of magic force here at work, at play, that's controlling these giants and these slaves here, these zombified workers. You hear the baby in the background? Yeah. Somebody's at their personal home with leaking this. So somebody took it home and leaked it. Who will be allowed to? Because I used to work in a place where you couldn't bring flash drives and stuff because there were a lot of computers and personal data and stuff. But it seems like to me, if this place is structured like From Software is structured any way similar, you wouldn't be allowed to bring in phones or flash drives, and put them in a computer unless this person snuck it, in which case they'll be fired. Or Miyazaki himself could have leaked it, which is what I think it is. That's why he's at home with his newborn kid. I think the kid's like maybe 2 now, maybe. And he hasn't revealed its name. Like Gwen. And he's just recording these screens in the background. Because in the other leak, the same thing applied. There was names that were, not names, there were voices you can hear in the background. And they're babies crying and stuff. Or a baby. See, there's a tree again. That beautiful, gorgeous tree. Phantom tree. Because it's transparent in the middle. But here's the thing. You see that being walking? It's either coming from this giant head, or this giant head isn't giant. It's just up close. But it's possible that it could be somewhat big because it doesn't look pixelated or polygoned. So it's probably a giant head, or it could be both, sort of in between. But this would be a nice little area to explore, and maybe a PvP area because it resembles the war that happened in an official trailer with a red sky. So this could be a leftover being from that. In Dark Souls, there was a skull in the bottom of forgot the name of it, some giant beach. I think it was Ash Lake. I forgot. But that was in part 1, by the way. But this tree here, Dark Souls is, From Software is no stranger to trees with beings living inside of it. But this tree will host the Elden Ring, the guy from the trailer, who shattered the Elden Ring or who's making something. The blacksmith. This will have the blacksmith either in the base or the top of this tree. I promise you, he will be in this tree, or she. And bottom line is, this is exactly what happened, and it looked like it broke And this tree here is transparent in the middle. It is transparent because again, this is from a different angle and you can see right through it. What else is like that besides something that's transparent? It's transparent, folks. This tree is transparent. I'm calling it first. There's that baby again. You tragic thing. Look at that. What I noticed immediately is that this character here has a sword in his back. It looks like a sword. So not only will the item that you're holding in your hand be shown on your player model, but it looks like the item in your next slide over will be shown on your character as you walk around, as you just not use it, as you don't have it equipped. And as far as I know, in the Middle East they didn't use these kind of shields, but I could be wrong. But you know, it's a fantasy game. It doesn't have to follow the rules per se perfectly. You know, even Elder Scrolls, Oblivion and Skyrim mixes time periods and cultures. You know, they have the Romans in with like the Britons and stuff like that, even though they technically like could be thousands of years apart. But that's neither here nor there. It's a fantasy game. It doesn't have to follow all the rules. Whoa. Another thing that I noticed the first time that I saw this trailer is that this guy has armor similar to like this little shoulder pattern. It may not be a big deal to some, but this shoulder looks similar to the shoulder of the armor from the first guy. The guy with the spear from the first official trailer. And I'll be posting a video about that and comparing the two soon. So be on the lookout for that. So moving on. By the way, this sword is unlike anything that was in Dark Souls. Maybe not Demon Souls, I haven't played enough of it. But this sword is abnormally pointy on the tip to the point where it's extremely impractical. But it's a fantasy game. But at the same time, this, I hate to say it, but this sword here, I forgot the name of it. This sort of scimitar or whatnot looks like it could be cut from the game. Just looking at it, it looks like it could have been removed from the game. And that's just me calling it. So don't expect to be able to dress like this character in the game, because this looks like something that would be cut from the game. Now this axe looks pretty generic. I'm not even going to go into it. But this thing here, it's a recurring thing. It looks like a chain with a giant structure in the middle. Now these chains must be used for something. We know that from Dark Souls 2. The chains weren't just there. They were used for something, for closing back drawbridges or opening stuff, and they might actually function in this game. Just as they did in Dark Souls 2, where they actually do stuff. So there's a mix of, I don't want to say steampunk, but a little mechanisms in games that didn't exist in the fantasy time. So again, they're mixing time periods, which is okay, and I hope they do it. Oh, wow. You guys notice that? There's a blue here. Why would this... There's a blue here. Okay, there's a giant glowing blue. Now that could just be in the background, but that doesn't make much sense because, well, we'll get to that. Yeah, it's not in the background. It's right in the shoulder because it moved with him. Yeah, you see, it would have been overlapped by the tree, but it wasn't. You see? It would have been overlapped, but it wasn't. It moved with his arm. So this wizard is studded with diamonds. And if you notice, his clothing kind of resembles a wizard from later on in a game that I'll talk about. But wait a second. This armor looks exactly like the guy from the next that I'll talk about next. And I'll probably rewind it and show you guys what I'm talking about. But he looks like he's wearing a cape with diamonds on it. That's kind of tacky for this outfit. But I'm not a fashion police here. I'm not here to police their fashion souls. I'm here to tell you guys what I think about these little, just analyze this video. And so far it's looking pretty nice. Whoa, okay. You see that symbol that showed up? That's weird, because that did not exist, and that does not happen when you cast magic in any other in pretty much any other FromSoft game, except when you use miracles in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 2, and Sekiro technically when you use items. But that's neither here nor there. This symbol is very important, and symbols will be important in Elden Ring. We can tell just based off a few of the comments on Reddit and other places, but also just by using common sense. Okay, we can tell that jewels and symbols will be important. Why? Because they're always important, and they're important to George R.R. Martin. Okay, that's how we'll know. Symbols are important. Okay, we can move on. Look at that beautiful magic. Now, I described this area earlier. You can rewind if you like. This area here, where the dragon would be coming from. And if you do a little analysis in the next sequence, in the next few frames, you can tell that the dragon came from the same area. Let's continue. It said that you crossed the Riftlands. You crossed the Sea of Fog to the Riftlands. If you notice, the Sea of Fog is capitalized, but the Riftlands is not. So the Riftlands is just like, oh, walking through the desert, whoop-de-doo, there's nothing there. You know, I'm walking through the Riftlands today, honey. See you later. But the Sea of Fog is something of importance. It may be the water that's surrounding this area. It's called the Sea of Fog, but it might not actually be a Sea of Fog. Or it could be. It could be one of the many seas in this game. There could be many seas. And this map could be huge as hell. This whole game map could be huge. But it looks like to me we've only been in a corner of the map so far into the trailer. And somewhat of the same corner, based on what I've noticed. Could be wrong, but for the most part, it's looking like we were pretty much in an area no bigger than Skyrim's so far. Now, the map could be bigger, but so far we're in an area no bigger than Skyrim's. That's my hypothesis. Now, he says this is the very edge of the map. He could be talking about the whole game's location being the edge of the map, or he could just be talking about that one area where you meet him, because this could be dialogue from an NPC, not just the trailer. So he could be an NPC's voice talking about a particular edge of the map, whereas we're thinking, oh, this whole game takes place in the edge of the map. No, it could be just a piece of the map that he's talking about, part of the game map that he's talking about. And while you sneak into this abandoned area that looks like an area from Dark Souls 2, again with the Dark Souls 2 references, which you guys say sucked, but I think it had a lot of bigger influence on Elden Ring than you think. It looks like there's tents and stuff set up. You know, if you played enough Dark Souls 2, you know exactly which area I'm talking about. And a fallen kingdom beneath a castle here, which I'm not sure what's going on there, but moving on. Oh, by the way, it appears to be raining. Look. It's raining. You guys saw that rain. So there is weather in this game. It may not be dynamic, but my hypothesis is that it is indeed dynamic weather because it's a different time of day. As it showed different times of day throughout the whole game. If you were paying attention, you noticed that some of it looked like it was in the middle of the day. Some of it looked like it was in a fresh morning time. Okay, and then it showed the wizard that was in the middle of the day, and then it showed this, which is at night. So there is some form of day and night. And this is an official trailer. Well, you know, it was leaked, but this is pretty much confirmed that there will be weather and a day-night sequence. It's an open world, so it would be unfair to have the day and night and the weather the same or set in a few places, but it's possible. Okay, either the weather, I'm calling it now, either the weather is set in a few places or is dynamic, but I promise you there is a time and day system. It's not hard to make, people. It's been done in countless other games for over 20 plus years. It can be done in 3D on this game, and From Software is so talented, they should have no trouble doing that. Bethesda can't even make ladders work. Well, these people, they can make horses work in the game. I don't want to say engine, but in the game, I'll just say engine that never had it before, as far as I know. They do use Sony's game engine, at least for Dark Souls and Demon Souls. But moving on. That's why they have a PlayStation exclusive every now and again. But continuing. Imagine what? That part was cut off. I can only imagine. That's what he said. But it's been cut off because he's saying imagine. So somebody deliberately kept that part out. They think, you don't deserve the whole trailer. Just part of it. This is good enough. Let's drip feed them. Which is another reason why I think Miyazaki himself is leaking these. Because you can also hear the baby in the background in several of these leaks. Drives you to seek the Elden Ring. And Miyazaki is no idiot. He could do this if he wanted to. You know, because I worked in a place where you had to get cards to get access to the computer area or whatnot, because you had to get cards to get into the door. Now, in that same place, you could not have phones, but you also couldn't. You bring flash drives and plug them up to the computer. So whoever's playing this video is playing it from their home. They're not playing it at work. They're playing this video from their home, a personal device, a personal computer, apparently, because it's using Windows 10. So they're at home, people, showing this video. So either they broke some serious rules enough to get them fired, or they were told to do this by someone higher up as part of the marketing strategy. And it's free marketing. There's no reason why they wouldn't use this as marketing. It's a perfect chance. And they're not completely oblivious to the power that they have. Okay? From Software know that they can just drip feed us this way with a few leaks and get us more and more hype. They're not stupid. They know they can do this. So these leaks are legit. That's another thing. And they won't just put out 1 or 2 leaks every now and again. The concept art that leaked was real, and this art here is real too. And just like the art before and the video, it's all real, people. Oh, in this area, this guy has a beautiful cape on, or girl, you know. And this cape, and this here is either an arm cannon, because that exists in fantasy too, or it's a shield. Either way, it reminds me of Bloodborne, because look at this. These either a bat wing, or the way that it's cut, it looks too artificial. So it could be a cape that's blowing to the side. And capes could be important in this game. Who knows? But either way, there's a new weapon, and it's a flail. So flails are in this game, and there's at least one of them. Could be a cut weapon like before, like I said before, but we do know that they at least had eye of trying it. Moving on. There's no turning back. Okay. Why the hell is a skeleton just standing there? Was I the only one that thought about this? Was I the only one that's thinking, why is a skeleton just standing here? Well, I gotta tell you, I'm wondering why. Because either the skeleton is a NPC, a non-player character that you can talk to, or it's non-hostile until you attack it. For whatever reason, that's how it is. And that has some significant importance. Because the only thing that's like that in Dark Souls were the characters that, if you attack any character, pretty much they'd attack you back. But a skeleton just doing that, I mean, it's kind of weird. If this person casts some sort of magic to make themselves invisible to enemies, or this is an NPC, or something like that. Like there's a necromancer that uses the dead to talk to you, which is fair, and something powerful beings could do. Another thing I noticed is that the skeleton broke where this person hit it. It looks like they broke. On Dark Souls, even in Dark Souls 3, they broke. They just fell to pieces as soon as you hit it, for the most part, with a heavy enough weapon. They didn't break in certain areas. So that could be a sign that the limb system and stuff is better, which means that you could probably cut off limbs. It's possible. Anything is possible at this point. But that's just my hypothesis. It could only apply to skeletons. But what we do know is that the skeleton broke where you hit it. Oh yeah, this is the guy that's being backstabbed. Watch this scene carefully. Why the hell did this scene... Well, the lightning just flashed, number 1. So we know that it was raining. Number 2, we see that this guy came up from over the edge over there, standing up like he was earlier, to sneak down. But why is this scene going by so slowly? Why did it go by so slowly so we can see the symbol? What's the significance of the symbol? Well, it looks like to me it's a giant yellow tree, like the Elden ring. But there are 3 main points, like there are 3 guardians that's supposed to guard it or something. The number 3 is important here, but also the tree itself is important. Trust me, it doesn't have 3 branches for no reason. Moving on. It's blowing fire. So this dragon is indeed a dragon or a wyvern. So it is like traditional dragons in fantasy, which is nice. But wait. Guys, call me crazy, but maybe this is my hollow brain overthinking it. But it appears that that you're never supposed to use magic on a dragon. You're not supposed to use blue magic. You're not supposed to use sorcery on a wyvern or a reptile in Dark Souls universe. This is not something you did. You would use lightning, and don't get me wrong, sorcery works a little better on dragons than pyromancy does, but it's still pretty much a no-no. You should really focus on lightning. But being that this isn't a lightning character, I could see that they're miracle based. So I mean, not miracle based, sorcery based. The Big Hat Logan and the whatnot. So it makes sense. So I'm not gonna even be upset, but it's really generally a no-no. And these look like homing souls, and they follow. And what other weapon to use against an aerial enemy besides something to home in? Which is why modern militaries use missiles and whatnot, to heat-seeking missiles to find aerial enemies. Oh, wow. Wow. So this being jumps from the top of somewhere. He looked like he fell from somewhere. Like you waiting from the spawn at night, and he came down with a yellow sword that exploded as soon as he hit it against the ground. Huh. Yellow sword that explodes. Okay, let's keep note of that. Wait, he has a scorpion tail or some kind of tree branch? Maybe he's a tree person too, but of a different branch variety? And there's that dead tree again, or one dead tree, and he has a scorpion tail or whatnot. That scorpion tail looks a little abnormal. Like it's not, like it's meant to creep you out. Like, is it a scorpion tail? But scorpions don't have those kind of tails. Is that meant to creep me out and make me feel uncomfortable because it doesn't look like a normal scorpion tail? Well, maybe. Wait, what is he doing again? Wait, he's summoning the sword again. He summoned the yellow sword. Wait a second. Didn't one leak say that there were laser swords in this game? Well, I'll be. That's a laser sword. But I think it's drawn from the power of the Elden Ring. That's what I think. I think it's drawn from the Elden Ring. Wow. Extraordinary. Wow. Before, in other Dark Souls games, the only weapons that were like that were lightning arrows. But in this game, there appears to be a giant, at least some spells where you use a giant sword and it breaks as soon as you use it. You see, as proof, they just showed him summoning a sorcery sword. It has a lot more flex, and there's a chandelier here, by the way. So this is somebody's home or kingdom, and this guy here, who's dressed just like the mage from earlier, who's wearing the same garments but a different helmet. If you notice from earlier, the mage was wearing the same thing for the most part. So you see, the same exact colors, the same thing, also using sorcery, but probably of a different variety. You have paladins and then you have clerics, both using magic, but one of them being like the dumb muscle and the other being the sorcery. So the two different sorcerers, they're wearing the same clothes. So they're most likely of the same kingdom or of the same class, but of different variety of the same class, if you get my drift. And that's proof they did use a sword in a previous frame, because this person is using a sword, and they had no excuse to use a sword in this frame. Have him summoning a sword, and then him doing the same thing. Why would they show that? Because both were swords, and both were summoned using some form of magic or something like that. And I promise you, that yellow magic is drawn from the Elden Ring. This is probably drawn from something else. But all magic in any fantasy game has its origins. They don't just exist. So moving on. What the hell? He screams like an animal, but he's using a shield like either a smart primate or a human. And this looks like the guy from the trailer who was offering the arm earlier. Wow. So many things are being revealed. And there's another another chandelier. This game is going to be one of the scariest games you've ever played, and one of the most unique games. That's the same creature with the many arms. Whoa. This is a snow area. But wait. In the distance, you can still see the same little thing. So this person, I wager that this was the edge of the Snow Kingdom, because you can see the regular kingdom right here and the green grass right here. So this is the edge of the Snow Kingdom. And you can see the chain that I mentioned earlier from the same little towers, or the same type of tower. This person's riding a horse through snow. Oh yeah, nice and yellow, just like that tree. It's transparent, by the way. And that bridge, same thing connected. Wow. So there are horse combat scenes, at least, but there is horse combat in the game. My cool thing is that there's a chariot here. Now this could be the same chariot from before, but we don't really know, because we're caught right after this person rolls right by the chariot, and they're killing horseback enemies too. You see, they both have weapons, and this person strike faster. My question is, how the hell would you dodge an attack on a horse? It looks like the only way is to parry, just like Gyobu from Sekiro. He parried. The guy that's on a horse, he fights, yet you fight. He parries. He doesn't really block. Nobody blocks in that game. So this could be inspired by that. And the blood is bright red. I don't know if that's just temporary or meant to be this way, the way this game will be set up. Yep, from the same creators. Yeah, that looks pretty accurate. I would say my analysis was pretty accurate, guys. So again, a recurring castle here. And this is Renderless Games with my analysis of the leaked trailer. Hope you guys like it. Remember to give it a thumbs up and tell me. Comment down below if you have any disagreements or analysis. You know, timestamp it and comment on what you think. This is your host, Renderless Games, with Renderless Games. I'll see you guys next time.